Today we will continue the Creating the Best Strategy series, in which I research dozens of indicators for various purposes like entry or exit signal, baseline, momentum or trend filters, with a goal to find the best ones. A few weeks ago I released the Best Volume Indicator Part 1 video, in which I compared 7 different volume-based indicators to find the best one. And today I brought you the Part 2 of that video with 6 new volume-based indicators. In this video I will walk you through the 6 new volume-based indicators that I tested, but this time I won't explain all the backtesting, sorting and ranking method, as I already did that in the Part 1 video. So if you're interested about that, check out the Best Volume Indicator Part 1 video by clicking on the top right corner or find the link down in the description. And of course, at the end I will show you the results, including not just the new indicators, but the Part 1 video indicator results too. As always, you can support me on Patreon and you can buy the full research data plus 6 scripts bundle if you want to take a deeper look on the backtests, sorting and ranking, or if you want to get the source codes of the scripts I use to complete this research. You can find the Patreon link in the description, and without wasting any time, let's get right into it. Okay, let's go over all the volume indicators I will compare in this Part 2 video. So just quickly as a refresher, so this is how an example script looks like. We will use the squeeze momentum, which you can see here as an entry signal indicator. When it turns from green to red, it is a short entry signal, and when it turns from red to green, it is a long entry signal. The stop loss and take profits will be set by an ATR multiplier, and that's all for the basics of the strategy. To set up the basics of the strategy, you need the squeeze momentum, this one, and the NNFX ATR as the stop loss and take profit indicator, this one. And now let's set our first volume-based indicator, which will be the accumulation distribution line, this one by Everget. That volume-based indicator will look something like this. If you open up its settings, you will have only one numeric setting, the smoothing length, and you can choose the EMA type. So if we get a long entry signal, for example this one, long entry will be only allowed if the accumulation distribution line is above its EMA, this line, so basically when it's green. And if we get a short signal like this one, that short signal will only be valid if the accumulation distribution line is under its EMA line, so it is colored red. So both of these would have been a valid entry signal. This would have been a valid entry signal too, this is a valid short too, and this is a valid long too. Let's move on to the next one, which will be the CMF with an EMA. So if you watch the first part, you will notice that the CMF is included there also, but in that part I used limit levels and not an EMA. So for that, type in CMF, add the Scheiken money flow, and type in EMA, and add the moving average exponential. Now I will show you this once, but we'll use this technique multiple times, so you will need to move the EMA onto the CMF line. To do that, you need to find the EMA line, click on it and start pulling it down until you reach the CMF, then release it. This way the EMA line will be displayed on the CMF indicator. Double click on the EMA and set its source to CMF right here. And now it will move according to the CMF line. Okay, the rule with the CMF plus EMA is the following. If we get a long entry signal like here, that will be only valid if the CMF line, which is this green line, is above the CMF based EMA, the white line. That is the case here, so this would have been a valid long signal and would have been a winning trade. Now in case of shorts, short entries like this one are only valid if the CMF is below the CMF based EMA, and that is the case here. So this would have been a valid short entry and a winner too, I think. This would have been a valid long, because just slightly, but the CMF is above the CMF based EMA. And this is a valid short, the CMF is below the CMF based EMA, and so on. Moving on to the next one, that will be the EOM, or ease of movement. Click on this one, and it will look something like this. So with the ease of movement, we will also use an EMA. So again, you just need to add the EMA, click on it, pull it down on the EOM, release it and change its source settings to EOM. The rule is just exactly which was with the CMF plus CMA. So, a short entry, like this one, is only valid if the EOM is under the EOM-based EMA, and the long entry is only valid if the EOM is above the EOM-based EMA. Simple as that. Moving on, the next indicator will be a recommendation that was suggested under the previous video, and that is the Hawkeye volume. Add this one by Razorbear. The Hawkeye volume will look something like this. In the Inputs tab you have the length function and the divisor, and the rules are as follows. Long entries are only allowed if the Hawkeye is green. To make it easier to see, let's change its style to columns. Okay, so this would have been a very long entry, and short entries are only allowed if the Hawkeye volume is red, so this would have been a very short. Now here's a long entry signal, but the Hawkeye did not agree because it is gray. And here is a short signal, but again the Hawkeye didn't agree because it is colored gray. Okay, we have only two left, so bear with me. Next up will be the MFI with an EMA. This also works like the CMF plus EMA and the ease of movement plus EMA. So just type in MFI, add the money flow index and then EMA. Put the EMA onto the money flow index, change its source to MFI, and you are all set. Okay, so long entries are only allowed if the MFI is above the MFI based EMA, which is the case here. And short entries are allowed if the MFI line is below the MFI based EMA, and that is the case here. Okay, so this long signal would have been valid, this short signal would have been valid, and this long signal would have been valid. And let's see the last indicator, and that will be the relative volume or RVol. For that, type in RVol and add the relative volume RVol alerts. This indicator is somewhat like the WADA Atari explosion in design, because it has a baseline and a secondary moving average line. If we open up the settings, it has a period, a threshold, and a smoothing value. The rule is as follows. Let me modify the style so it will be easier to see. Let's change it yellow. We don't need these, and the threshold should be white. Okay. So, a long entry signal like this one is only valid if the RVol bar is above the RVol base moving average and its threshold. Currently it's well below it, so it's not a valid entry. Short entry is valid again if the RVol bar is above the RVol base moving average or smoothing value and its threshold. And that's not the case here. So now let's search for a valid long entry and valid short entry. Okay, so this is a valid short. The RVol bar is well above the RVol smoothing line and the threshold, but this is not a valid long. And this is not a valid long, neither this. But this one right here would have been a valid long as the RVol bar is above the threshold and the smoothing value. Okay, so those are all the 6 volume indicators that I will test. Now let's see how it goes. Oh, and again, if you want to get access to these scripts I used to complete this challenge, go down into the description, there will be a link to my Patreon shop, and you can find it there, searching for Research Data Best Volume Indicator Part 2. Okay, so we went over all the indicators, but before showing you the results, let's see which parameters will I test for each indicator. And here you can see all the different indicator parameters that I will test randomly. And now, are you ready for the results? Let's see. And that wraps up today's video. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you want to get the full backtest, sorting and ranking data alongside with the 6 pinescript strategies I used to complete this research, check out my Patreon shop, link is in the description. You can check out the part 1 of the best volume indicator video here, or you can check the full Creating the Best Strategy series by clicking here. I highly recommend you do check out this playlist. As always, thank you all for watching, have an amazing day, and until next time, trade smart.